Hello everyone, welcome back to the next section of Active Directory. So now that we understand what Active Directory is and why companies use it, so now let's talk about something extremely important. Um, that is like why Active Directory matters so much in the world of cybersecurity. So you can think of this slide as the moment where we connect the dots. Okay, so because the truth is the Active Directory is not just a tool, it is the heart of an organization identity and access the system. So and anything that controls this identity controls the entire network. So let's break this down in a very simple way. So Active Directory controls who can do what inside a company. Imagine a big company like an airport. You have a normal passengers, staff, security officers, pilots, immigration officers. So everyone cannot go everywhere, right? So normal passengers cannot walk into the cockpit. So the a cleaner cannot open the immigration systems. A random visitor cannot open the office doors. So this is exactly how a company works. So everyone has a role, everyone has a limitations, and Active Directory is the system that it decides who can do what. So now imagine if a hackers break the system. It's like giving a random person full access to the airport, control tower, cockpit, and everything. So that is how dangerous AD compromise is. Okay. So second thing is AD is the first target for hackers. We already discussed yesterday. So today we have to discuss deeply this section. So when attackers enter a network, they don't immediately steal the data. Okay, they first look for access, they look for the permissions, they look for the admin privileges. And where is all this are stored? Inside the Active Directory. So attackers love Active Directories because it stores every username, every password hash, admin accounts, group policies, every computer identity, and security rules also. So if attackers breaks the Active Directory, they break also the whole company. So that's why you will often hear if AD is a compromised, the entire network is compromised. So AD misconfigurations is equal to the cybersecurity weakness. So more than 80% of cyber attacks happen because something is not set properly inside the AD. Examples: weak passwords, old user accounts not removed, too many admin privileges, wrong group policy settings, unpatched domain controllers. So even one small mistakes in AD configuration can allow attackers to enter and spread. So everything in the company depends on the Active Directory. So let me give you an simple daily examples. When you are an employee, you are like suppose when an employee just logs in or connected to Wi-Fi, opens an Outlook and accesses server, uses a shared folder, print and downloads a file, join a Zoom meeting on a company laptop. So everything is checked by Active Directory. If AD just goes down, the entire company goes down. Okay, so there is no logins, no access, no email, no servers, no business. So it is like electricity in your house. You only notice it when it goes off, and everything is stopped. That is Active Directory. And also the attackers use AD to spread a ransomware. Okay, and ransomware allows AD. Why? Because if they get AD admin access, they can push ransomware to every computer through group policy, that is GPO. One click is equal to the thousands of computers locked. So that's why companies is desperately protected AD admin accounts. If attackers get those, the entire company can be encrypted in a minute. And also, AD helps cybersecurity teams monitor attacks. It is not just for attackers, AD also help to defend themselves. So security teams uses AD logs to detect unusual login attempts, detect passwords spraying, detect privilege escalation, tracking who accessed what, monitor failed logins. So Active Directory is also powerful security monitoring tool when configured correctly. So that's our conclusions about the why AD matters in cybersecurity. So Active Directory is the identity manager and access controller and the security gatekeeper, the central nervous system of an every company. So this is why attackers are target AD, security teams as protect AD, and cybersecurity students as must master Active Directory. So it's literally the foundation of enterprise cybersecurity. So going through the next section, that means the key components of Active Directory. So I hope you guys just understand why AD is so important. So now let's break down into a simple Lego pieces, like because Active Directory is a big that is equal to something z. Okay, so but we can understand it is very easily if we break into a components. Okay, so first the component is domain controller. This is the most important component. Think of your domain controllers as a brain of Active Directory. That is the main server that stores all identity data. It also stores user accounts, password, computer accounts, security policies, authentication rules. So every login request goes to the domain controller. If a domain controller is hacked, is game over. If domain control is offline, is nobody can log in. So it is the most sensitive and most protected server in the entire company. And the second part, the domain. So a domain is like a family name for all users and the computers in a company. For example, like laptop123 dot company dot com. All this belongs to the company dot com domain. Okay, a domain groups is like users, computers, groups, policies into an one organization structure. So think of it's a big capital, big digital community. Okay, the third one is forest and trees. This sound is something is complicated, but it's actually simple. A forest is basically the entire universe of AD. Inside the universe, you can have multiple trees. Each tree can have multiple domains. So simple real life example, like suppose imagine a big company with different branches. Okay, suppose uk.company.com and us.company.com, india.company.com. So each is a domain. So all that is all is belong to the same forest. So forests help organizations organize the multiple locations, multiple units, multiple business divisions while still keeping them connected. So the fourth one is the organizational units. The organization units are like folders. Inside them, you can place the users, computers, groups. So examples: the HRU, ITOU, finance OU, the interns OU. OU means organizational units. So why is this helpful? Because you can apply the different rules, okay, to different groups easily. So for example, Indian accounts is to expire after 6 months. IT team can install anything. HR laptops cannot install software. So you can apply these rules to the organizational units. The fifth one is users, groups, and computers. These are the basic building blocks. Users means these are the people inside the company. Groups means they are these are the collections of people used to give permissions easily. For example, instead of giving 100 people permissions individually, you can add them into an all into one group. Okay, then computers, these are the machines joined to the domain. The Active Directory tracks the each machines like a digital identity. So sixth one is the group policy objects. That means it's like a remote controllers with group policies objects. You can disable the USB, push the software, set wallpaper, block apps, enforces the password policies, configure the firewalls. So and it affects thousands of computers instantly. This is why attackers love to hack GPU. So if attackers to get GPU control, they can also control everything. So conclusions of the slide 4. So the key components of Active Directory are domain controllers, domains, the forest or trees. That means the domain controller is the brain, domain is the community, and forest and trees is the big structure, and organization units are the folders. So users and groups and computers are the members, and the group policy objects are the rules. So once you know these, you can understand the foundation of Active Directory. That's all about these key components of Active Directory. Then we can go through next topic, like how authentication works in the Active Directory. Okay. We already understands what AD, why it matters, and why what are the components are. So now it's the time to understand something extremely important. So how authentications works inside the Active Directory. So authentication is simply means proving you are the real you. Okay. So every time, suppose you type your username and password, the authentication happens. But how does Active Directory check if you are a real or fake? This is what we are learning now. Let's break down in a very simple steps. Suppose when you type your password, it doesn't go as a plain text. Let's say as you type like password at 123, the password never travel on the networks as a normal text. Instead, the Windows converts your password into something called hash. That is a scrambled version of your password. So even if a hacker is watching the network, they cannot directly see your password. This is a step one of a security. And the second step is your computer contacts a domain controller. Whenever you log in, your computer sends your username, your computer sends your password hash. It asks the domain controller, hey, is this person real? Can I allow login? So everything depends on the domain controller decisions. If domain controller is the brain, then your computer is asking permission to the entire system. So domain controller checks the credentials also. Inside the domain controller, your actual password is hash is saved in a secure database called Active Directory database. So the domain controller compares your password hash with the stored password hash. So if they match, you are authenticated. If they don't match, login denied. That is a very simple example. Okay. Then, suppose you after your login, you receive a ticket. Think of it like getting a permission pass. Okay, after the successful login, your system receives something called TGT. TGT means nothing but like a granting ticket from Kerbos. Okay, this TGT is like a hall pass that says this user is authenticated and allow them to access other services. So without this ticket, you cannot use the file server, applications, printers, email, databases. So this ticket has a limit, usually 8 to 10 hours. After that, you must re-authenticate. This prevents attackers from staying forever. Okay. So fifth one is the Cabos, the main authentication system. Cabos is the king of authentication in AD. That means, let me simply explain, like Cabos is equal to a bouncer at a nightclub. Okay. So you cannot enter without showing the ID. The bouncer checks you who you are, whether your ID matches, whether you are allowed insights. Okay. So Cabos that does the same for your identity in a network. So it also provides us a secure authentication, encrypted tickets, protection against the replay attacks, faster access to the services. This is why big companies trust Cabos so much. The sixth one is NTLM authentication, and that is nothing but it's like a order authentication. Also, still they are using NTLM. It is a slower but less secure and easier for hackers to attack. But some old systems still uses NTLM, and companies cannot remove it completely. This is why attackers perform NTM relay attacks, and pass the hash attacks. This is why cybersecurity team push companies to move fully to Cabos. And here you can think also why authentication matters in cybersecurity. So if authentication is broken, everything is also broken. For example, hackers can impersonate users, hackers can log in without the password, hack can also escalate the privileges, ransomware can spread easily, admin can also be stolen. So understanding authentication is one of the most important parts of this any cybersecurity job. So that's all around about the AD authentication basics. We just go for the user enter credentials. Credentials are hashed. DC checks the hash. DC gives to the Kerbos ticket, and ticket allows us access to the services. So this is the foundation of identity security in Windows.